that's the Nelson Mandelas of the world. Suchiwa, which is my current hero, the Burma lady, right? Give up her life for her country. I want democracy, I don't care the consequences to my own life. Isn't that amazing? And so
but we all are. When you go home instead of keep working, you are.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of us are partial. You know, it's like everything, right? It's a scale. How rational food are you willing to be? Right? How far do you go? You know, you can put a scale 0 to 7, and you can place each of us. It's like choosing to be a professor when you can make millions in some other sector, right? Because you just love to be in a place like this.
Because our drivers are not only money.
They're not only money, yeah. They have a larger pool. Yeah. So rational food, the concept, you can check it. I'm about to say is the only let's see, how do I do this? Is the only Indian who has a Nobel Prize in economics. And I think he's the only developing country person that I know. Right? You agree? And he dabbles into this kind of things. He's able to move away from the rational economic model and bring his Indian experience into it, and that is taking him to places. It's amazing.
But if you look at this debate versus fisheries, in fisheries, you're always focused on managing output without any control on the input. I mean, you keep talking about cost, but that's input to getting the output. So here we are burning energy, taking it out of the ground, but we are going after renewable energy. You go back to Herman Daly's argument that if there is a renewable resource, the rate of use should be slower than the rate of renewal. With fisheries, that's essentially the game you're playing. So is there a global rationality missing and looking at it that way?
In terms of fish.
I mean, we don't know the minimum rate.
Of fish. Yeah, but you, as a scientist, they will tell you that. They have estimates. Remember, you cannot say you don't know. Okay? You make expectations, you make so actually, William Chan, my partner in many of my papers, is they call it, we have actually what we call the growth rates of every species of fish in the world. Some of them empirically determined, some of them just models, some of them data, but we have the number of each species. Because we don't allow blanks in our data sets. Right? If we don't know, we make the best estimate, and we tell you it's the best estimate. So they do have, and if we could go by those, then technically you can always take below the growth rate, and that will keep you safe.
Yeah, but I think scientifically also there's not enough going into understanding the inputs that determine the output.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that is the human side, the economy is the social. That's true. We need more work there. How are you doing?
One more question.
Yes.
I was thinking that maybe this is not very good to use protocol, Kyoto Protocol, because we have already signed the Kyoto Protocol. So the situation by now is that some countries, the equilibrium maybe is different because it's the condition is that the optimization for this is that the country have already signed the protocol will not lose more if we continue doing this. And the countries that they haven't signed the protocol, that they cannot benefit anymore if they don't sign this. So I don't know that you know that there are some little dynamics in this.
Yeah, this is a static picture. This is a static picture.
So I never see in game theories if there's a time scale for the change in order.
Oh, there are. I can give you papers actually. I can give you that you can follow if you are interested. Or there are dynamic games, big time. Yeah. So you can dynamize this. You can make it dynamic. It's just easier for a lecture to have a static model, at least for the first time. Yes, you can. And your point about many countries have signed Kyoto, but they are not following it. Canada is one of them. Decided that emissions are always going. Because a country cannot deal with the oil sands or the tar sands. Benefits are too enticing, right? So you keep doing it. So you can sign and do nothing with it. And if you have enough big countries like US and Russia saying no, usually you don't go far. But China.
In evolutionary game theory, you can include that the evolutionary behavior of human beings is
So there's a lot in here. Where do we go? Okay, so let's see. So I did mention to be for country A, it will be really important for them to try to move country B because the cost of them is high, right? So these are some of the things in the literature that you can use. You can use moral suasion. Like you can just shame the countries, shame country B, such an extent that it's just too uncomfortable not to play. And sometimes it works in the global level. You have situations where, hey, it just doesn't make, I think Japan is getting there slowly with whales, right? It's becoming more and more not nice for Japan to keep doing it. So you might reach a threshold where the country said, look, enough is enough. This is making us look too bad, so we stop it. So more situation. And allow country B to adapt different targets. Kyoto has done that, developing countries, because of your condition, we give you different targets, just to get the movement. Other financial incentives can be used, side payments, right? I think they're doing that with climate change. Okay, we put $100 billion for developing countries to help them adapt and reduce emissions. Try to introduce sanctions. Sometimes it comes to a point you say, you either do it or we come after you. And that can be used to, you try technology transfers. Okay, we found a secret, here it is, use it and reduce your cost so we can get more. Ways you can get, and these are all applicable to fisheries, to shed stocks. I don't know how much more you want to do, there's so much stuff. Yeah, so I think we should stop here really, right? Just opening a whole new area for those of you who are interested. Thank you for that attention.
So you've heard from Rashid just then a lot of how you can put sort of firms or groups of people or even individuals into how they interact. I think it's actually the chords over here more than the
Don't move.
That's impossible. The master to do it, right? I shouldn't have expected any less because every morning when I walk out of my front door, my husband goes, "Are your buttons in the right place? Have you got your batteries? Where's your glasses?" I have gone to work with my shirt inside out. So we've had Rashid tell us about how collective groups or firms can work and how you can have people in cooperation. So for the next half an hour, you're actually going to have a sort of like what's called a whistle-stop tour, very fast shoot through all of the other sectors that have actually been modelled. So some of these will have parts of the model as individual people, some of them will be whole industries all in one go. So basically we've heard most of what you see when people talk about models of human actions have largely been around fisheries. There are other fields that get modelled, but not to the same depth so far, or not to the same degree of literature. So we do have the whole rest of the world to think about though, and humans have had a big impact on that. So basically, whether you're thinking at global scales or regional scales or very small scales, you have to think about where the people fit into it. Even if you decide to leave them out, you have to think about what were the implications of that decision. So as I said on the first day, we've pretty much got models for every part of where humans interact in that big world. It's only over in the sort of the governance side of things where we're starting to have to develop models. So that's part of why the prisoner's dilemma and the game theory is kicking off, because it's kind of the first pass of where that's going to work. So this is a schematic of a big model that we developed in Australia. And if you just ask the scientists what should have been in the model, they did all the bit down the bottom half. And if you ask the people what they wanted everything in the top half. So you can see that part of that bias in how the world modelling has developed is because the scientists had different interests to what the people thought about. Okay? There's lots of different methods that have been used to put people in models. And for those of you who are playing with conceptual models, that's literally one that we did on a piece of paper in a camping ground about how tourists felt about having their campsites regulated and why they came to locations. Okay, so around megafauna watching up in the room. So you can use all different kinds of models, from qualitative models to statistical models to just having an impact function, or to actually actively playing it all out with a nature-based model. So we think about some of the other sectors. For instance, there's tourism. This is up in northwest of Australia. There are some pretty good understandings of how tourist operations work. Regardless of where you are in the world, if you look over the history of a tourist activity, it goes through this cycle of rejuvenation or decline. It's kind of something no one else has heard about, and it's exciting to go there, and then the word leaks out and more people go. And then the kind of people who are going shift. They're no longer the thrill seekers, they kind of become the mass market of mums and dads or party goers. And so it starts to become stable or decline, and it'll actually pitch off the other end unless they manage to reinvent themselves somehow. So it's not this, it's like thinking of multiple resources. They deplete one fish stock effectively, they deplete one tourist stock, then they have to try and see if they can do another. So it's sequential depletion of tourist resources rather than fish stocks. And sometimes it is fish stocks, so yeah, it's the same kind of concept. There's also, they know the pluses and minuses of what drives tourism. Local markets, regional markets. This is how the marketing guys make their dollar. They target the weak spots and make us want to go there. Okay, so we do understand those kind of things. You can actually also play out agents. So we have a vastly complicated model that looks really boring because it's a number going down the screen. So to try and summarise that for you. Basically on the west coast of Australia, there's a place called Exmouth that used to be a US military base. You had to use US dollars and everything. And when the US left, they basically thought the town would die, but it reinvented itself as a tourist centre. So the tourists come in, they go down the coast to a bay that literally has, if I'm standing, there's a really shallow beach. You can teach kids to swim there really well because the water's about this deep. When you get about 4 steps away from the beach, this is the coral reef. So the kids learn to swim with the fish around them, which is a huge incentive. It also means lots of people want to go there. So what happens is they go and they go back and say how great it was terrific. So more people come, they get more dollars, and everybody's happy. You've got jobs, you've got money, that's terrific. Except more people come and you get less dollars because now it's not as good. So your animals have changed, the environment's not as good, different kinds of people come that don't want to pay as much. The other thing is that the employers can't get enough people because the oil and gas industry is paying 10 times as much. So you're never get a policeman or a boat operator who's going to get paid 100,000 euros for driving a bus to the oil and gas rig every day. The other problem is that the residents can't find houses because all the tourists are hiring them to stay in for their holidays. And the captains can't keep anyone happy. So if they're on the operating boat, yes, they're getting some money. But the number of times I've been on a boat and I hear someone like a German tourist whinge because they only saw 4 whale sharks instead of 10. So the captains aren't very happy either. They get quite frustrated. So the typical, and the other thing that happens is some of the tourists come along and say, actually I didn't like that. So they go somewhere